Hi, I'm Lisa with Craft Your Practice, and this is episode 21, How to Raise Your Therapy Rate and What to Say When You Do. So most therapists set their rate when they are brand new and a little frightened, and then they leave it there for years. The cost of living goes up, their skill goes up, their caseload fills, the rate sits exactly where it was the day that they guessed at it. So this video is about how to raise it and what to actually say when you do, because the saying is the part that stops most people. So why this is the hard part. Here is the part that nobody says out loud. The hard part of raising your rate is almost never the math. The math takes 10 minutes. The hard part is the feeling that shows up when you picture telling someone the number went up. For a lot of therapists, that feeling is some version of, who am I to charge this? That is the imposter piece, and it deserves a real answer instead of a pep talk. A rate is not a statement about your worth as a person. It is the price of a professional service delivered by someone with training, licensure, and overhead. When you keep your rate artificially low because raising it feels uncomfortable, you aren't being generous. You're subsidizing your practice with your own financial stability. And that's the thing that quietly ends careers. So the decision comes first. You can't tell anyone anything until you know the number. So we start with the decision itself. 4 pieces go into a rate. The first is your income floor, which is the amount that you actually need to bring home, divided across a realistic number of sessions. This is not your dream number. It's the number that keeps your practice open and your own bills paid. So the second is your market, meaning what comparable clinicians with your license and experience charge in your area. The third is your costs, which most therapists underestimate, including the taxes that you set aside, your EHR, your liability insurance, your continuing education, and the working hours nobody pays you for. So the fourth is your experience, which is the piece that people forget to count. The clinician you are now is not the clinician who set that first rate. So once you have the new number, 2 questions remain. How much and for whom? On how much, resist the urge to make one enormous jump every 5 years. A rate that moves a little, predictably, is easier on you and it's easier on your clients than a rate that lurches. Many clinicians raise once a year by a set amount and build it into the calendar so it stops being a dramatic event and becomes an ordinary maintenance. So on for whom, separate 2 groups. New clients get the new rate the moment that you decide on it. And there is no notice, no transition, no conversation. And the number on your website and in your consultation call is simply the current number. Existing clients are where the real conversation lives, and they get notice a little and a little more care. So what to say to a new client. With a new client, here is the entire script. You quote the rate. When someone asks what you charge, you say, my fee is $175 per session, and then you stop talking. You do not explain it or justify it, and you don't soften it with a long preamble about how therapy is an investment. The fee is the fee, and a person deciding whether to work with you is allowed to have that information cleanly. So the silence after the number feels long to you. It does not belong to them. Let it sit. What to say to an existing client. Existing clients are the part people lose sleep over. So let us be very specific right now. So you are going to get notice in writing with a date. 30 to 60 days is standard and respectful. And the message is short because you're not writing an essay and you are not apologizing. So here is a version that you can adapt. I want to let you know that starting September 1st, my session fee will be $175. I'm giving you this notice well ahead of time so that the change is not a surprise. And I'm happy to talk through any questions at our next session. Notice what the message does not do. It does not explain the cost of living. It does not list your new certifications. It does not ask permission. A rate increase is information your client needs in order to make their own decisions. And you deliver information plainly. The more you over-explain, the more it sounds like you're asking them to approve something. And approval is not what you are after. So there's one judgment call worth naming. For a long-term client doing important work, you may decide to phase the increase or to hold their rate steady for a defined period of time. And that can be a sound clinical choice. The thing to avoid is making that exception for everyone by default, because saying the number is uncomfortable and exception is a deliberate decision. Avoidance only looks like one. So when a client pushes back, some clients will have a reaction, and that is allowed. When someone pushes back, your job isn't to talk them out of their feelings and is not to fold. You acknowledge and you hold. It sounds like this. I understand, and I want to be straight with you that this is the fee going forward. If the new rate genuinely does not work for someone, you can offer what you actually have, whether that is a sliding scale opening, if you keep a few, or a referral to a clinician in their range. What you do not do is negotiate your own rate down in the moment because the conversation got uncomfortable. The discomfort is not evidence that you did something wrong. It is discomfort. So the reframe. Here is the reframe to take with you. Your rate is not a referendum on whether your clients like you. Some people will decide the new number is just not for them and they will move on. And that's an ordinary part of running a private practice rather than a failure of one. The therapists who do this work for decades are not the ones who charge the least. They are the ones who built a practice that pays them properly so that they could keep showing up without resentment. Charging appropriately is not the opposite of caring about your clients. It's part of how you stay able to care for them at all. So if you have never set your rate with real numbers, or you set it years ago and have been avoiding it ever since, that is the place to begin before any conversation with any client. Launch Lab walks you through the money decisions of private practice in the right order, including how to set a rate that you can stand behind. The link is in bio, and I'll see you next week.